What's going on, everybody? We are live with episode 16 of All About Comics. With me are Mike, Four-Way Flashers, ComicFan Joe, and Gene Paul Ace Peter.
Hello.
So today we're going to talk about a couple topics, not too many. We're going to talk about Grails, we're going to talk about Marvel and how they like to go ahead and blame us for their, I guess you can say, mess-ups? Maybe? I don't know. We'll dive into that and we'll find out. So I'm going to throw this over to ComicFan. Let ComicFan go ahead and take host of this right now. And we'll get the ball rolling. ComicFan, go for it, buddy.
All right. Well, we got a little news in our little circles here. First of all, we want to give a little shout out. We have a new daddy in the mix. Buckshot 33.
Hey.
Proud new little daddy. I'd like to give
Congratulations,
him
sir.
a little props. And a little side note, we have somebody's taking up parental duties. Our good friend GDJ Rod has decided to take up some parental duties. So a good big ups to him to taking the hold of the reins on being a daddy for a bit. Anything else you guys want to add before we go on to our first topic?
Not me. I'm good.
All right.
Let's just get
Hey.
into it. Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Sounds good. Yeah.
There
Hey.
we go.
All right.
Right.
Okay. First topic. We've got down the pipeline that Marvel is kind of blaming the fans. Yes, the fans for its recent little financial difficulties and its little stumbles. Basically what it comes down to is that Marvel is going in a different direction, okay? It's going to go back to its legacy characters, which we pretty much have brushed up on and know a little bit about. But what has recently come out is some statements towards the fans saying that we are to blame for their little financial pitfalls, saying that we didn't buy into their PC correctness. That means that we, as fans, did not buy into some of the stuff that's a little different. Their little way of thinking, saying that maybe we might like a different change of pace, being it's different kind of characters, its ethnicities, its gender roles, and what have you. Personally, I would say that that's something that, no, I feel, do I feel personally responsible for it? No. I mean, I'm a guy who likes my books and my way of reading. But for a major company to go and blame that on its fans, I think it's carrying it just a little too far. And so that's what we'll be talking about today. We'll be asking the views of our people on the panel and as well as the people in the chat. So let's go and switch that over today with Four-Way Flashers. You seem to be ready with this. Let's go and take your spin on it.
I am ready with this. I have to agree with Marvel. I blame the consumer. And you know what? We're sitting here not supporting Marvel and their decisions, and you know what? I'm to blame. I don't want to spend my hard-earned money on crap stories and crap characters that are just being reimagined into bad, like just bad stories. So they're right. I'm not spending my money on their garbage ideas. You know, if they were able to take a good idea, like Lady Thor, for example. Let's use her as an example because I have not read the Lady Thor run. I've just started reading a little bit of it, and there's so many cool things that they could be doing. You know, with the direct, you know, having Thor against Lady Thor. You know, like you stole my shit, give it back. You know, like it's the whole thing. Like make the story awesome, and then I will care about your redirectional characters, but they don't. They just want to make it like, oh well, now Thor's gone and nothing's happening. You know, like they only just after 2 years explained why Thor lost his hammer. They said what the words that Nick Fury gave to Thor to make him lose the hammer. That should have been like the one of the key topics that they should have gone after right now, and then explored like why he's lost that. But they didn't. They just said, okay, let's establish this new character. So we've got it. Same thing with like I don't know, because I just don't read them. I don't care for Kamala Khan. I hear it's a good story, but for me, it's not reaching out to me. You know, like as an old white reader. You know, ethnicity. Like, I'm not trying to say that I don't care for ethnicity in comics, but you know, it just doesn't reach out to me, so I'm not going to reach out for it. You know, like put her on a team to start off with, maybe, you know, put her in the Avengers, and then I'll be like, hey, that's all right. I can deal with that, you know. And then maybe I like her enough, yeah. Then make her have a book, you know. It's just for me, it seems like a few years ago they had too many Wolverine books. You know, how many stories about Wolverine do you need in a month? And it seems like they're kind of doing that same thing. And I just, you know what, tell a good story. Focus on the book. Focus on the Avengers, the X-Men, whatever. Make it the best you can, and stop splitting off all these teams into solo books or whatever. Or if you're going to do a solo book, make it a 4-issue limited series like the Frank Miller Wolverine. You know, that was a good read. You know, and then make it something that I'm going to look forward to, and then expand it more like that. It's just they've taken everything and stretched it so thin, and as a reader, I can't support that. So yeah, we are to blame.
Okay.
Just to go on that a bit. Well, first of all, I mean, in my opinion, talk about passing the buck. Talk about not standing behind your work. You know, I feel like, yes, what you say is true, Mike, but, you know, not supporting or picking up Marvel is very different than not embracing diversity. And while that might be said for some people, I don't think that could be said for all the readers. And if anything, this is a huge smack in the face to the readers, the people who are actually buying it, and to the same ones who aren't buying it at this moment. Just because you don't buy Marvel at this moment doesn't mean that you're not going to buy it in the future, or you haven't invested money in it in the past. Stand behind your work. The fact that, and the idea would be like, well, we are standing behind it. It's not us, it's you. Well, I think that's ridiculous. I've spoken to many people, and, you know, not everything works. Not everything works. That's it, man. When Marvel's new universe came into play, it was a very big investment, a big move. It was a big power move. And you know what? People embraced it, and they didn't like it, and they backed away. Now, Marvel didn't turn around and say, look, it's your reason this didn't work out, because you didn't buy it, you didn't do this. No, people bought it. They didn't like it. They moved on. That would no way whatsoever was the reader's fault. I think when someone told me that, like, and I don't buy a ton of modern comics, period, but I do get invested in Marvel's event books and stuff like that. And the last one I got involved in had nothing to do with diversity. It was a terrible book. It was the Civil War stuff. And I was just not feeling it. Like, it was pointless. Had nothing to do with diversity. And for them to just lump that out there, and people know me as a Marvel guy, you know, and say, oh, well, Gene's not buying modern stuff because he doesn't support diversity. Well, you know what? How about you? I start picking up other stuff now, and I'll give you the real reason. It's because I don't like being told why I'm not doing something or why something didn't work out. You want to come up to that conclusion that it didn't work out because people don't embrace diversity, you tell yourself that. But the fans have told you that the storylines suck. The changes that you have made in characters, some pan out, some don't. And everybody's willing to give everything a try. If they weren't, this would have been shut down, case closed. People would have just came out of the gates and been like, this is not for me. This is not what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. The real problem is that they're not listening, is that they're very driven by making a buck as they would their business, their company, but their priorities are not directed towards the comic fan anymore. They're directed towards, how can we branch off for this? How can we plant that seed where we can make a ton of money in a ton of different avenues and a ton of different mediums? And that's more insulting than even calling us, saying, well, we are not supporting diversity whatsoever. I think that's the most insulting part. This is all around a bad PR move for them to even come out and say that. I think it's ridiculous. Again, and I don't buy a lot of modern, but I know a lot of people do. And I know they didn't stop reading it. There might have been one thing that came up, and they're like, nah, I don't care for it. But really, they're reading the stories. They're not nitpicking and looking at the image and like, oh, this is trending, or this is whatever. They want a concrete story, something, we've talked about it for years, something that's going to go beyond issues, 10 issues. Get invested in something. Write something that people will get invested in, and people will buy the books. If you don't do that, you don't have a leg to stand on. So don't turn around, and it's no wonder they come up with some kind of conclusion like, it's because weather has been going on winter's been going on for too long. People don't get out and buy books. All right, you tell yourself that. When push comes to shove, it comes down to overworked
That is
writers.
partly why you don't buy books, though, right?
Right. Overworked artists, overworked writers, and just the direction that they're taking it. That's the problem, not diversity.
You know what? Every time, well, I'm not going to say every time Four-Way opens his mouth. That's what I was thinking. But every time, and I will say that me and Four-Way have opposing views most of the time, and it's not in a bad way. But every time Four-Way opposes my views, I'm almost about to butt heads with him. But then he makes sense. And I'm going to agree with Four-Way to an extent on this, that the transition between Legacy to new character was not smooth. Is that what you're getting at, Four-Way? That the transition was not smooth. It was either
forced.
You're right. So why couldn't they have just done with a format that almost worked at one time? Back in the 80s, they had limited series galore on things, and then they had tested it to see if it would work. And, we had just a ton of like limited series. I think that's how the Punisher started out with his first series. Am I right? Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Right.
Yeah.
With Magic, Beauty and the Beast, Hawkeye. You guys get the point, right? And I guess that was a kind of way where we could have just gone and made a smooth transition maybe into the next little segment. That's all I'm talking about. So I agree with Foy-Way real quick. Joe, hey, what say you?
What say me? Well, on this whole situation, I'm reading through this chat and everything like that here. We do have a few good men. We got Jeff Johnson's in here, Tat Comics in here, Jay Rodham is in here, Tim Morant's in here, Evan Jelone is in here, and Punisher 88 is in here. Now, Jeff Johnson threw out these new. We'll get to that one. He threw out here. He stated that these new characters were made for the younger generation, not for us old characters. I don't believe that, and I'll tell you why in a moment after I read the next stuff here. Jay Rodham mentioned Marvel movies are spectacular, but I go back to the feeling that X-Men universe has been blackballed in comics, which is very true. I believe it has due to the rights thing. Then Jeff Johnson says again, one of the problems with Marvel is that they have too many books out right now. And again, I will get to that in just 1 second. And then we have Jeff Johnson again says, does Marvel still have an editor? Okay, so to go down that list, I do not believe they made these new characters for the younger generation, regardless of what they've said. I think what they did was they made these newer characters to try to open horizons to new readers, not the new generation, just new readers. Having a female Thor, having a female Captain America, and making her a lesbian or whatever it is, and also at the same time having all these women writers come in now, because there's a plethora of women writers. Before we only knew a couple. Two off the top of my head, which I know, Jared Osborne's gonna be like, well, there's also blah blah blah. But I'm just gonna say the two that I can say off the top of my head, which is Marguerite Bennett and Amanda Connor. But I do know there's more, and majority of these, Gail Simone, majority of these newer writers that are females are strong in the women feminist stuff. I know because I follow them on Twitter and I see all their posts and I'm like, wow, look at them go. Even the new writer for for Captain America, America Chavez, she's a lesbian as well. So, I think they just made new characters to keep up with the times of what's all going on now and the change, not for younger readers. I think it's just to keep up with the times of everything. Now, with the fact that Jeff Johnson did mention about the fact that they're bringing out too many books, I think it was month of February, Marvel threw out 103 comics. That's 103 comics in 1 month. I have no clue how you can, as a reader or as a collector, can keep up with 103 comics. That's insane in 1 month, and that's a short month. Imagine if that wasn't a short month. Imagine if it was a leap year. That's insane.
Frost, that's a good point though, man. Quality over quantity. I mean, isn't that shouldn't that be a major factor into what you're doing? And I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I said that too. Dial it back. Focus on your core books, and you're gonna be awesome. I mean, and I wanted to say something about the America Chavez there. I have no problem at all with them coming up with brand new concept characters, right? Yeah. I think it's a great thing to have a lesbian superhero. Just don't make her Thor. Don't make her, Thor already exists. You don't need to replace that. I think that the fact that she's a strong individual woman is great. I wanna see how awesome that book can get, I don't have a problem with them doing the Runaways because they were all new characters, But I don't know anything more about the Runaways past like the first couple of issues because I didn't care for the writing. It wasn't strong enough for me.
Exactly, and that goes back to the point I was saying. I can appreciate trying something new. I mean, when Denny O'Neil took Wonder Woman and took her out of her iconic costume and popped her into her new positioning, got rid of Steve Rogers, got rid of everything. It's a risky move. Again, Denny O'Neil taking Green Lantern and basically making him a racist. A personality type, and some changes are welcome, some aren't. I can appreciate that. That's the part of the creative process. I get that, but what doesn't sit well with me is passing the buck on to the reader and saying it's your fault. It's your fault. This isn't good. It's you. I mean, come on.
Yep. Sean, I was just about to go in that direction. I'm glad you said that because why can't Marvel do it? But DC is managing to actually get the point across and able to do something decent. You just added Wonder Woman. I was going to add the new Batwoman. Batwoman is actually, she's a little off the off the beaten path. She's into the she does like the same gender, as well as what's the new Green Lantern, the female Green Lantern?
Jessica Cruz?
Yes, thank you very much. And she seems to, have some challenges with anxiety. And I take a heavy nod from Reader 1717 for pointing that out. I've been watching her videos, and I really appreciate that. People can identify with that. So if DC can do it somewhat successfully, I don't think that they're slumping in any sales, but I don't have the figures to prove it. But once again, why is DC not blaming their readers for not picking up on that?
Yeah, well, DC's not slumping in sales, actually. DC's actually holding sales. The only thing that's holding sales, through my research, for Marvel right now is the Star Wars books. And remarkably, the one thing that I don't like is when they take a writer and exhaust him through multiple different titles. Like right now, Colin Bunn has like 4 different titles he's going to be working on. But the gentleman who's doing the Star Wars titles, he's doing majority of them. I mean, this guy, what's his name?
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron, yes. I believe that's him that's going to be coming on the new Darth Vader run as well. He's the guy that does Poe Danvers.
What's that?
Who's the one that does the Poe Danvers comic right now?
Poe Dameron. I have no idea. I'll find
out. Whoever's writing the Poe Dameron story, he's going to be writing the new Darth Vader, and that's just something that's crazy to me that they're using one writer for everything. But the Star Wars title, it's like you have Marvel, then you have Star Wars, and Star Wars is doing just fine, because it's limited. They have everything limited, and then they have Marvel.
Charles Soule.
Soule, yes, right there. Yeah, he's the one that they have. They're exhausted, and they have him going through a bunch of different Marvel. Star Wars books, which he's been killing it apparently. So that's a plus. Yep. One writer who knows all the stories that's going on with Star Wars. That's to me that's good. But with Marvel and all the stuff that's going on with them, it's insane. They're coming out with too many books. Too many writers exhausting themselves. The one thing I was going to go ahead and get on was with what Jeff said was about do they have an editor? Does Marvel have an editor? They do. They do have an editor, And it's insane that they have this editor and they still do what they do. Now, the next thing that I was going to say was that this the same gentleman, if I'm not mistaken, the same gentleman or it was another gentleman, mentioned that they have great writers, but their artists are few far between. They only have like 2 good artists, is what he said. So in other words, what he's saying is the rest of their artists that they have in Marvel are shit. That's basically what he said. You know, and I'm like, wow, why would you say that? You know, and there was one thing I was talking with Jean Paul Ace Peter about with this topic was that you have these cover artists, you have these amazing cover artists that go and do these covers, and then you have these guys doing interior, and it's garbage. Now, everybody tells you don't judge a book by the cover. Well, damn it, with Marvel, that's true. You can't judge these books by the cover. Oh, hey, Adam Hughes, sweet. What's on the inside? Crappy McGee.
Well, I
shit.
I can speak out of my own personal experience. I was at a con, and I spoke with J. Scott Campbell. And I was talking to him for a bit, and one of the guys was out there, and he says, like, are you going to do interiors ever again? And he says, there's just no money in interiors. That's the problem. He makes too much money doing covers. So I mean, that's why you're not going to get Adam Hughes or J. Scott Campbell or any of the bigger names unless it's a project that they're super passionate about. I really don't think that you're going to get it because the money is just too good.
And that's exactly where I, in my head, when I think back to your Silver Age, your Bronze Age, even your friggin' Copper Age, you still had great artists doing the covers and doing the interiors. Why? Because it's something that they had passion with, regardless of what the hell they're working on. These guys now, they're like, oh, it's all about the dollar. Like, I'm not going to do shit on the inside because I ain't getting paid for it. That to me, that's bad. That makes me not want to buy anything J. Scott Campbell because he's all about the money and doesn't want to give back to the comic collector who wants to see J. Scott Campbell interiors.
Yep.
So would you say that perhaps maybe that's the reason why the sales are slumping?
Yeah, because they don't. One, Marvel doesn't want to pay the art to have good artwork, and two, the artists don't want to take a pay cut. They don't want to take a LeBron going to Cleveland. They just want to go ahead and just make the high dollar. Suck it up, man. Make a great comic.
I'll just throw into, like, you know, on what you're saying is that there should be some consistency in modern comics with the covers to the interiors, and there's just not. Like, for example, here's a book I picked up simply for the cover. I saw it because we do judge a book by its cover. We pick it up, and it's an amazing Mark Brooks artwork. And I sat down to read it, and the artwork inside, I wouldn't be able, first of all, I wouldn't be able to tell you the artists, who they are. I've never known anything for them to work on anything. But I was thoroughly disappointed with this book because of that reason. And it makes you think it's not uncommon. They've done it for a long time. You got your cover artist and you got your interior artist. But there was some consistency there. There was some of knowing what you were expected to be in for as well too. Those artists, again, we go back to one of the big reasons is that the consistency of the title itself. You know, there's so many factors to not get invested in a book right now. It's crazy. At least with some independent book, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a peer who move forward working on it. When you get something today, it's whatever the hot artist is. That's it. It's not about being an artist who is known for this. It's about whoever's working the best and trending the best in Marvel right now. That's it. Or any company.
With some small exceptions. I mean, like if you were to talk about the Hawkeye book with Fraction and David Aja, I mean, I think that's what they should be known for, and they should be celebrated for that, man. Like that was a great run of books that Marvel put out not too long ago. They're still putting out decent books, you know. You mentioned a back somewhere in the chat there that you think there's a ban on the X-Men, and I have to disagree again. Like I think that whole thing is a myth. You're getting now X-Men blue and gold coming out later this month. The IVX just wrapped up, and I thought that was a great little mini series there. It was written by Jeff Lemire. There's your thing. The good quality writer. The art was good. It was a compelling story. It had a lot of the minor characters, like the Inhumans. You had Miss Marvel in there. It was the thing that I was actually exposed to, Miss Marvel. So it got me exposed to some of these characters that I was like, man, I would like to learn more about it. So yeah, there's I think that you're going to see there's going to be a big push on Marvel. You're going to see later this year that original Logan Wolverine is going to come back to life somehow. And I think you're going to see a big push towards X-Men this year.
Right. Well, I'm going to get to this in the chat. Joe, do you have anything real quick?
No, I was going to actually refer over to you. Good on you, man.
Okay. So right now, I got North Atlantean. He says in here, what do you guys think of Dark Horse 90s run of superheroes? Example, X, Titan, Will to Power. I thought they could have done a continuation rather than making short stories. Count Von Strange, he's in here. He says, what's going on, everybody? Nine Claw says, stop talking about this new Marvel crap and start talking about old Strange Adventure issues. This is also the fact that Star Wars is like the most popular thing in the fucking universe. Gretzky said Marvel lost Jeff Lemire, which they did. Count Von Strange says he totally agrees. I've bought it. Seems like quite a few Marvel books this past year because the cover art and the inside art sucked out loud. We have Easy the Game Hunter. I agree with everything you've said. They hire these artists fresh out of art school, and pay them enough to get where they want to break through, basically. Tat says he agrees with us. Nightclaw says everything from 2005 Marvel is crap. Jason B says X-Men Prime. Yep, that was one of the newer releases. Game Hunter says Hulk, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones are my favorite Marvel from Marvel. Count Von Strange says some Marvel's inside art looks like something from the Daily newspaper funnies. And then Evangelion says all art sucks. So with the Dark Horse stuff, we'll go back to the North Atlantean with this question with the Dark Horse. He says, what do we think of the Dark Horse 90s run on superheroes? X, Titan, Worlds of Power, all that stuff like that.
I was too busy reading Marvel comics.
Right. I can say I don't think I've ever read any of that stuff because I was reading other stuff. Sean, Joe, do you guys read any of these?
I don't have much to say on it. As same thing, I was picking up Jim Lee's run on X-Men, and I was picking up all the Image stuff, or possibly getting suckered into buying Valiant. So I don't really know, but I know that my wife actually loves the title X. She's a big fan of that. So.
Right, and shout out to her because I think she just said hello.
See you in the next room, Sean.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, going forward with this, I mean, that's really what it is. Is that Marvel doesn't want to shell out the money, and these artists don't want to go ahead and take a cut just to make something good back into comics. I mean, that's the problem that I'm seeing. That's where DC's striving. That I see DC and then the independents, because the independents, they're getting all these writers that are leaving, all these artists that are leaving from Marvel and possibly DC, and they're doing their own thing. You know what I mean? And they're getting paid chump change, right? What do you think, Joe?
I actually think that this is something that we can continue on in another episode. How to keep your people.
Keep the company flowing. Okay.
Right. I think that would be good.
Sorry, Joe cut you guys all off. You guys do not get a conclusion until next week. Next week, we'll tackle the rest of that right there. So we're going to move on.
Not time.
We're going to move on. So I think it was it Count Von Strange or was it? No, it was Easy the Game Hunter. If you tune in next week, I will talk about the funniest comics artists compared to the artists right now in the Marvel, because I am agreeing with you, sir. So if you tune in next week, we're gonna have the conclusion to this. What's next on the agenda there, Joe?
Grails. We know you like. Oh, yeah. We got something to show. We got a little bit of a show and tell regarding Grails. Some of us have them. Some of us don't. Some of us have grails, and some of us decide to still plan later on in our collecting year to obtain them. But, however, there is a journey to get to that grail. We want to know, how do you get to it? Have you gotten there already? And what are the methods you're willing to do to get to it? So we'll go ahead and go with that. Who's first on at bat?
I'll just go ahead real quick on it. I think the biggest thing is that you got to prioritize. If you really want a book, you got to be, you'll eventually persevere. Like for me, it was Luke Cage Here for Hire #1. I wanted this for years and years. I was trying to get this, and finally I found it at the right price. And whether it was at the right price or not, I was having difficulty even finding this at the time. My biggest thing for getting your grail is that you have to stay focused. If you don't stay focused, you'll never get it.
Right. Now, there's a question here in the chat by Mr. Gretzky 9966. He says, "What do you guys consider a grail?" And then Jeff Johnson did go and say grails are just a matter of opinion, which is very true. Grails are a matter of opinion. But we did in an earlier episode where we talked that grail, the word grail gets thrown around too loosely. You mean, this is my grail. I haven't had this ever, and I just bought it today. It was my grail. I mean, that's how things are getting tossed around a lot. So when we say grail, we're talking about the holier than thou. Like for some people, a lot of grail would be like an AF 15, Amazing Fantasy 15. That would be a lot of people's grails that are into that. Some would be Avengers #1, some would be X-Men #1 or Giant Size X-Men. It definitely, grail is definitely a matter of opinion, but when you use grail like every other haul video, it kind of it loses its meaning. It's kind of like a cuss word. If you say a cuss word too much, eventually it loses its meaning. But today, typically, I know Sean has a good grail other than the one that he just shown, and he has the lifetime grail, I guess you can say. I know Four-Way just picked up a grail to him. May not be a lifetime grail, but it's a grail that he's been yearning to get. I know I got as what I would consider a lifetime grail because I don't know where to go from here. In ComicFan, he has his family. That's his grail.
I'm actually lucky enough to have 4 of my grails in my collection. Of all my books, four books. Night Nurse, which came from Emsky 361. This one, Fox and Crow, first appearance of Stanley and his monster. This I want because who else wants this? I know one other guy on Facebook who also has this book and loves this book. And this one, which came from my 2 good buds, ComicFan and UndisputedFrost. And that, of course, my Luke Cage.
So he's an overachiever.
That's right.
People are too nice to him, which
I'm a good guy. Get to know me.
He is a good guy.
I'm just putting it out there. My grail is Detective Comics 24. Just if anybody has a spare one, just lying around, want to throw it my way, just put it out there.
That's fine. Evan Gillion in the chat said something pretty hilarious. He said, "If you haven't had to use the holy hand grenade, you haven't gotten the grail." So that's pretty funny. So okay, so grails. GPAP showed his grail. What do you got, Mike? Go ahead and show what you just recently picked up, and with that, we'll get back to Sean. We'll go more in depth with Sean, but with you, let's go in depth on it. What did you have to do to get it? What are you gonna do after all that? Give us the nitty gritty.
A big one for me. I put this on my top 10 list to get last year. Was Avengers #9. One of the things. I mean, it's out there. I've seen it before. I'm not crazy on high grade. I mean, I'm crazy. If I could get a high grade, I would get a high grade. But for me, grade doesn't matter. But I'm looking for the right price. And I always thought Wonder Man was an unappreciated character. I always liked him. Book that I've been trying hard to get. And every time it got into my hands, kind of fell through. I was willing to trade books. I was trying to make deals for it, and just never really got close enough to it. And then I got lucky, and my LCS had a copy. Ended up getting it for the price that I wanted to pay for it. I'm happy about doing it. There are issues with it, and I would like to get another copy if I could, just because I'll get into that another time. But the fact of the matter is, it's something that I can live with for now. I'm happy that I have it. I'm happy that my search is over. The quest for it is over. Especially last year, what is going on?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, the fucking chat.
The chat. Keep going.
Yeah, so the some of the stuff that I did was a little personal for it, but anyways, the fact of the matter is, the longer it took for me to pull the trigger on getting it, the more expensive the book got. They announced last year that there was going to be a cameo of Nathan Fillion in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie as Wonder Man, and it was just in the posters in the background, like there were movie posters of him as Simon Williams. And as soon as they said that, the goddamn value of the book went up. And so I was like, okay, G. Paulus Peter always says, wait it out. I ended up finding my copy because I did wait. So I mean, I was happy for it. I've got lots of other grails to go. So King of the Golden State says I have Avengers #9. Yeah, you have every book, so no one cares. Great for you.
Right. Well, I was going to go ahead and talk with Sean and see what he was saying about his stuff, but I'm guessing he, after thinking about it, he didn't have much to say. All he had to do is be patient to get his grails.
That's my biggest thing is be patient and stay focused. Don't be feeling. Don't get distracted and say, "Oh well, I'll never get that, so I'm going to move on to a new title." Don't get distracted and just start buying up everything so you don't have cash to afford that. Don't be patient.
Right.
You'll get it. That's it.
So for me, I did obtain my grail, my lifetime grail, which, as Evan says, Frost got his grail. Now he has no purpose to live. I don't know what to tell you guys, but I did. I got Albedo #2. That was just the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo, which this is, it's rare or it's scarce, or there's only 2,000 of them made. So it's kind of hard to get when the book is only 2,000 made. And it's an expensive book. And it was, for me to go ahead and acquire this book, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I got a book, when I got a Supergirl Legion of Superheroes #23, which was Adam Hughes, and I traded up. To me, I traded up, but at that time, I was actually trading down for a Shazam 28, first appearance of Black Adam in DC continuity. I had that book, and it's in such great condition. I never got it slabbed until they started announcing the whole movie stuff. So then I got it slabbed, and it came back recently at a CBCS 9.8. So I was like, hell yeah. So I had it on eBay. I was trying all kinds of different things to get it sold. I finally got it sold, and right as I got the money, I turned around and bought this lot on eBay, which came with the whole set of Volume 1 of Albedo. So it was 1 through 14. Now you're probably going, well, that's not the whole set because there's Albedo 0. Yes, but that one really doesn't. It's like it's afterwards. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too worried about that one. And there's like 4 different prints of that one. But this, I got this full set plus this. I'm in awe, and I don't really know where to go from there other than saying, hey, F it. I'm just going to start and finishing out collecting the runs of Usagi Yojimbo.
But I think you could get that actually rare moment where, as a collector, you can sit back for a little bit and enjoy your collection. I think that's something to be said about that as well. You don't always have to be hunting, you don't always have to be hunting. While we love that, and that's what drives us, take a break. He's back.
Yeah.
Do what you're doing, which is cleaning up the collection, refining the collection, and through that, you're going to find what you don't like and what you do like. Revisiting all your old collection and your other books in your collection. So, it is one of those awesome moments that you have right now. Is after. It's the cigarette after type thing. You know what I'm saying? It's you after you get your grail, sit back, man. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride for a little bit.
And that's exactly it. Like, I have been purging my collection. I did the other night, I did it again after I purged that night. I'm just going through and deciding what really belongs in my collection of what I enjoy, what I like, So, like, for me, there's Namor, there's Usagi Yojimbo, there's Power Rangers, there's Tales to Astonish, some Strange Tales, not too many of them, just some of them. And then anything Tim Drake Robin, I like those stories. So that's kind of like where I'm going with my box, with my collection of stuff. But I was also reading here in the chat. There was a comment here that was, would we consider Red She-Hulk 58 Greg Horn cover as a grail? There was a topic where we talked again previously in another video where we were talking with, I believe this is the one where we were talking with Archangel, where Archangel got his grail, which was the Superman Batman #4, but it was the German variant, and it was Superwoman on the cover. I think it was like a one of like 499 copies. And it was a Michael Turner. It was the Michael Turner. So if you have Superman, Batman, I think issue #6 or something like that, on the inside, when you see the Superwoman again, she's in the cover with the cape of Superman wrapped around her. Well, that's on the interiors. So then they took that from the interiors. That's when like good artists were doing the interiors of comics, like we were talking about. Well, it was Turner. So he did that, and then they took that out and put it on the cover. Well, that to him was a grail. And I mean, I guess you can say because it was a matter of opinion. That's his grail. So if that is your grail, that Red Hulk Greg Horn cover, then that would be considered a grail because it's yours. It's to you, that would be a grail. Maybe not to other people, but for you, that would be a grail. So we have a lot of activity in here. People talking about, what their grail is, how much their grails are, and everything like that. On my computer would hurry up. There we go. We got people, Jeff Johnson talking about his Spider-Man. He just wants any low number Spider-Man would be good. Nine Claw saying that he wants Avengers 9, but it's like $400 billion because somebody's in a movie. We got Count Von Strange talking about how he wants Ninja Turtles #1 first print. Now, see, that's another one that's hard. That's just like, that's a hard one to get. We got Jason B wanting to get Journey into Mystery 83. Biggs says his grail is Action Comics 242. Tats, I'm assuming when he says 181, that's Hulk 181. Let's see here. Gretzky's been selling loads since 2003. Comics for Girls 2 says grails are Chamber of Chills 19 and Black Cat Mystery 50. Those ones apparently are tough.
She'll get those soon.
It'll happen. Yep. Yeah. So that might be on #1, right? Frost. Biggs is talking about that. I don't need this Batman #1. Another Nine Claw saying Strange Tales 86. North Atlantean says DC Presents 47 is his grail, which is He-Man. Let's see here. Hey, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much caught up. We have Mueller. He's in here as well now.
Mueller says, hey, comic fan. I know you don't read the chat.
No, I saw him earlier today.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's everything that we got going on in the chat. I mean, Joe, why don't you go ahead and chime in on this, man? Because, like I said, like, you don't have, for someone who doesn't really have a grail, let's hear from your perspective of this whole situation.
Yeah, it's not, anybody who says I don't have a grail is complete BS, right? I would, let me put it this way. It's not that I don't have a Grail. It's that I'm so indecisive of what that Grail is going to be. Maybe I have collection ADD, if you will, for lack of a better term. Once I see something, somebody else, comes show something else, and I'm like, "Ooh, hey, look, a shiny penny," and I want something else. That's kind of the way it works for me. So what I try to do is basically have another lack of a better term, stepping stones that are kind of mini Grails, right? That kind of works for me. That's the way I work. My money only stays in my pocket for a little bit of time. So I said, oh, I better get something good with this money. Next thing you know, it's gone. And I have lost track or lost sight of the Grail I initially intended to get. That's just the way it works, So yes, I do have to focus. The focus isn't there with me. I'm just scatterbrained and stuff like that. So the best I can do is, like I said, have stepping stones that are kind of mini Grails for me until one day I just exhaust all that and say, buckle down, buddy. You got to go get the actual thing you intended to go get in the first place. I don't know what that is. I mean, one day I'll realize that, like, well, I spent my money on everything else. It's time to go get it. Maybe, one of the original number ones from Marvel or something like that would be nice. Yeah, and that's always good. It probably won't be anything that anybody else is building up to get, which is good, Set your own personal goal. I appreciate the fact that the comment we had in the chat earlier that set their own Grail. Good for you. Don't go with the crowd if you don't want to. Go with what you want. Who's to say what's a Grail and what's not? I do totally agree that Grail is almost a made-up word. Just go out and get what you want, and have fun with it, and like what you have. Okay, be appreciative of what you have.
Exactly. Yeah, I solely agree with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This chat is still rocking, man. Apparently, Nine Claw is very ADD with his collection. That's why he's ended up with 30 ALF comics. That's awesome to me personally. We had, Brave and the Bold. What was that? 28 or 23? Was it 28, 23? I don't know. Somebody, King of the Golden State, and he's only the King of the Golden State because I'm not in the Golden State anymore. He wants the Brave and the Bold 28 as his Grail. We have Punisher 88. His Grail is ASM 129. You can kind of figure that one out.
Spider-Man, right?
I think so. I think that's the new suit of the Spider-Man. J-Rod Ham, giant size X-Men. See? Count Von Strange. He can relate with what you were talking about, Joe. Let's see. Oh, and there was a good comment right here. For some Grail, maybe getting a signature from a certain writer or artist, that could be someone's Grail too. That's very true. I mean,
it's a good point.
I know a few people that would want certain people's autographs. Stan Lee, somebody wants it on their boobs. I think that was Nine Claw again. Nine Claw, he's a very booby kind of guy. That comic book guy. Hello. Brute Force 1 through 4 is his Grail. That would be Nine Claw again. This guy's just killing it, man. But no, for real, like signatures. Like if you could get a signature on something, or even a piece of artwork. If you can get a piece of artwork from a certain somebody, that's kind of a Grail for some people. Over here around this region, we have a Yosaki Ojimbo sketch by Stan Sakai that I got from Stan Sakai at a Charles Schultz Museum, seminar, and it was amazing. $10. Go ask him to do a sketch for you. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So that was kind of a Grail. This was like my Grail before my Grail. So I got this before I got that. So that goes into terms of it as well. And some people just want original art pieces. Right there. Thomas Churchill just said it. Yes, original art is nice. Exactly. Getting that is amazing. So we're coming down to the last 10 minutes of it all. I think we're going to end it there, and then we'll take all the rest of the topics that we did not talk about, and we'll talk about next week. Again, Easy, the Game Hunter, come back next week, man, and I will talk about that. Funny artists in the funnies in the funnies of the papers to what Marvel's got going on right now. We will talk about that. We will tackle that. So, Four-Way, what do you got for us at the end here, man? We're going to get out of here.
I want to thank everyone for showing up this week. Again, I love those really booming in the comments. Yeah, I don't appreciate being made fun of when I'm talking about my Grail. All your little sexual innuendos. I don't care for that. I think we all know how I feel about the King of the Golden State, and thank you. Good night.
They're loving friends. They love each other very much. What do you got there, Comic Fan?
How do I follow that up, man?
Oh, man, it's a tough one.
Okay, well, the sexual innuendos basically came down to, and I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, man, but some people have to do some favors in some back alleys, you know,
Sure
to obtain their grails.
Sure do.
It'd probably be me. I'm probably one of those guys not proud of it, and I definitely don't tell my wife and the kids because I'm not proud of that either. Other than that, man, I had a very long day. Just got back from a con I was working. I saw Mueller there. I saw Longshake 78 there. I saw Weapon X there. And for the first time, let me tell you, it feels good. Somebody recognized me. Yeah, for my little YouTube days. Yeah. Hey, it feels good.
Now, just to be fair, I recognize you every day. Just putting that out there.
Sometimes when he doesn't have his glasses on, I'm like, who's this guy?
Clark Kent.
Or
is it Superman? Yeah, but it feels good, you know, to be from a humble haul up to, you know, big fish in a little pond. It's got to feel good. Other than that, hey, we're talking signatures. I don't know if I made this announcement. I'm going to make this announcement a little shameless plug. I get to meet a little somebody next weekend. I get to meet the man, Stanley, next weekend. So I just wanted to say yay for me. It's not very often that I, you know, promote myself and say yay for me. So I'm giving that moment to say yay for me.
Well, there it is. That guy that cut his hair, Jean Paul Ace Peter. Great fart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, thanks everybody for tuning in today. And you can check us out. We're going to be doing an off air after this. We're going to be putting up a link, and you can catch the link in the chat as we go through. But big up to everybody who came out. 9 Claw is going to be the AAC star of the night. He's got a new channel that he's got a new camera, and he's going to be doing videos soon. His collection's insane, and his videos will be as funny as his comments. So,
oh my,
yeah.
Well, thank you everybody. Like everyone said, thank you for everyone who came out. There will be an off air, as Jean Paul Ace Peter mentioned. That was not my phone, so don't judge me. We will get the link in the chat, and then we'll also put it in the description for you guys to all come out and have a good time. So, with that being said, you guys stay classy, San Diego.